Hi everybody, I'm Corey.
I'm Anna.
And we are with Kit
and Cat
Shop. It's been a long time since we've done one of these videos where we're back in the regular studio.
The doll room.
The doll room, yeah. And we really wanted to come in and give you guys all of the information about what happened last weekend. That was a big weekend for us.
It was a big weekend, a very big weekend.
If you follow us on social media, you probably saw that we went to Anime NYC last weekend. And we just wanted to give you a little rundown about what we did, what it was like, what we saw, who we saw.
Yeah, who we saw, that's the big one.
Who we saw. At the beginning of every year, we try to figure out what are all of the things that are happening in the year that we may or may not want to go to, and then we can prioritize them. And one of the things that we did find out about that was in the doable range was Anime NYC. But we had been to so many conventions. I think we'd already been to 3 or 4.
Yeah, well, we had just been at the beginning of the month to Jersey City to Wonderland of Play.
Right.
So that was a lot of fun.
But we had kind of written off Anime NYC because we'd been to Texas. We took a vacation out west.
We did
Otakon. Chicago. We did Otakon.
Geekdom.
Yeah, we did a lot of stuff. It's like, okay, we've done enough this year. We'll look at Anime NYC next year. And then we saw a tweet.
Yeah. Well, it was a tweet and a Facebook post, but Danny Choo from Smart Doll said that he was working on logistics and tickets to go to Anime NYC.
So, yeah, that kind of changed our mind just a little bit. So
we still we couldn't do Saturday, so...
Well, what we did was we tried to see what we could and could not do. And unfortunately, because it was already so late, the only tickets available that we could be sure of was the Sunday ticket. There were other ways to get them, but they were kind of almost a wait list type thing.
And I think we were just so tired.
So we opted to just take the sure thing, get the ticket for Sunday, and we would head up the night before and spend the day. Because if I spend more than one day at any kind of a convention, I have to rent a U-Haul to get back because I have really poor impulse control. Yeah.
You like the vendors on the floor. I like the artist alley, so... Yeah, we really wanted to go because we've been in Smart Doll. Well, we found out about it in 2016.
Right.
And then you stocked everything that was available about Smart Doll.
Yes.
And then we got these guys in 2019, but we haven't had a chance to go to Japan. We haven't had any real opportunity to meet him in person.
Right. Well, with COVID and the country was locked down. Both countries were locked down. So even if we had the time and the money, we couldn't have gone anyway.
Yeah.
While I was looking at the map to figure out how we were going to get there, it occurred to me and Anna that we would be able to make a little bit of a detour since we were traveling on Saturday anyway, and possibly meet up with some old friends.
Yeah, so we actually made arrangements to meet with Becca, one half of NingyoBingo.
Follow their channel.
Yeah, and to eat some lunch and hang out for a few hours. And that was a lot of fun. Thank you to Becca and Jesse for opening your house to us.
So we met them at their house.
Yeah.
And they took us through and showed us everything.
I got to see her doll collection in her doll room.
Yeah.
But Jesse got to show you his really cool arcade machines. You guys kind of nerded out over that.
You promised me you wouldn't talk about the fact that Jesse has better arcade machines.
Well, and then after that, they took us to lunch.
Right, we went to lunch to a place they knew of called the Well Crafted Brewery in Lansdowne, and that was good because we got a pretzel that was this big. I mean,
and sausage platter, and you guys got a beer flight.
Yeah, we went full German. I mean, they drove, which I was grateful for because I'd already been driving for about 3 hours. But we were trying to find a place to park where we could walk to this stuff, and apparently they had felt this was a pretty big deal because as we're getting into the downtown area, there was a parade, which I can only assume was in our honor. I have to assume that. I mean, there were
holiday.
there were people throwing candy canes, and
there was cows passing out chocolate milk to kids.
Yeah, there was the local dairy was handing out cartons of milk. And
that's really cool classic cars.
I don't know why, if they were throwing a parade for us, they had so many Christmas things going on during this parade.
You know.
So after we had a wonderful lunch, they took me to the. They have this awesome little place. It's like 2 stores right next to each other with a door in between them. One half is a classic arcade. You can buy a wristband and go in there, and all the games are free to play if you have the wristband. And the other side was selling all video games, going way, way back. The store side is ClassicGameJunkie with the Retroware arcade next to it. So we spend about an hour in there looking at stuff.
Your tastes are a little bit more retro than retro.
I'm a little bit more retro than retro.
So this was actually the second time we got to meet with them in person. The first time was when we were at the GeekdomCon.
Yeah, earlier this year. And Becca knew people involved with that convention, and they offered a booth, and there was us, and well, she put it on, and we met Shizusan there, and John and Sandy from MyLadyDisdain, and none of us were selling anything. We all brought dolls, and we were trying to get people at this geek convention. I mean, it wasn't even central to any particular fandom. It wasn't anime, it wasn't games, it wasn't comic books, and it was just all things geek. And so we really wanted to show off and try and get more people into the dolls that we're into.
Lindsay, who's the other half of NingyoBingo, she had a panel there about like the history and culture behind Asian ball jointed dolls mostly, and they're doing it again this year, or next year. Next year.
They're doing it again in 2024. I was just talking to Becca this morning about it. Yeah. We're really looking forward to it. Keep an eye on it. We'll put a link to Thy Geekdom. I don't know that they've got a whole lot of information up yet on it, but we'll give information. Yeah. I know Becca's going to be there. We're going to try to be there. We probably will because I'm kind of looking forward to that. I'm guessing that Shizusan will be there again because he's relatively local.
Shizusan says he's definitely in. And it'll be a lot of fun. She's actually quite excited. They're planning some giveaways and information and displays.
There's a lot of things she's got going on.
Yeah. And it was fun. It kind of worked into like a 3-day doll meet.
Yeah. Well, last year she gave away a doll, and she's planning on doing it again next year.
Yes.
So lots of fun stuff that's going to be happening at Thy GeekdomCon.
Yeah. And then it was time to go to our hotel room. So we got up early the next morning, had some breakfast, got loaded up with the dolls and everything, and then got in line for Anime NYC.
Yeah, and that was a lot of walking before we ever got to the door.
Yeah. We did get pretty lucky though. We weren't like the first crowd in there, but we were like what,
we were in the second batch.
Yeah.
They put everybody down in the basement in 3 big rows, and we were about a third of the way back in the second row.
But this year was actually quite smooth to get into the venue, get around the venue, and even though it was a big crowd, there wasn't a lot of jostling or shoving and pushing, that kind of thing.
No, I didn't. There was no jostling at all, in my experience.
Yeah, I mean, I actually had cat out with me, just like holding her, and I didn't even have her attached or in a harness or a clip or anything like that, and she was perfectly fine.
Yeah. But after we previewed a few shops, and you got your pins, your collectible pins for the place that we went to, and we found the T-shirts from, what's the name of that?
Turtle Tea.
That's what I was thinking. Turtle Teas.
Yeah.
We're up to like 6 of those now.
And I got a pin from them too, because they had a convention thing. If you got 2 T-shirts, you get a free pin. I had to get pins for Anime NYC to put in the board.
Yeah, we got them for everywhere else.
So I hit the manga booth.
That's right. You hit the manga, got the free manga.
Yeah.
And I looked to see if there was any manga I was missing, and no.
So we came around the corner. There was the Smart Dolls in the Smart Doll booth. And we saw Shizusan first.
Yeah. We going down the aisle, I looked this way, and I could see all of Danny's banners hanging up there, and I could see Shizusan standing there talking to somebody. So we just kind of abandoned the loop-de-loop thing and went straight over there and gave a greeting to Shizusan.
Yeah. He was very busy. He was actually working really hard, answering questions and keeping track of the booth and everything. So
yeah, honestly, in the time we were there, we had very little time to talk to Shizusan because he was always talking to somebody.
He was, answered questions and stuff. And Danny, the way he had the booth set up, there was these little plaques in front that had like information so you could read it and the pictures, and then he had all the dolls out. But we did get to finally meet
Danny Choo,
the creator, in person.
Which was why these guys really wanted to go. This was the first time they had seen Danny since 2019 when they left his shop. So
any chance I get to meet a doll creator, doll designer, doll artist, I try to take the doll in my collection that means the most to me and kindly request if they would be willing to sign it. And he was gracious enough to do so. So she actually got signed. So she's sporting a Danny tat.
Yes.
So that was really nice, and he was gracious enough to take his pictures with us.
Yes.
And the dolls. We
were only there about 15 or 20 minutes after we'd said hi to Shizusan, met Danny, got a couple of pictures. When John and Sandy got back there, I think they had...
Well,
I have no idea.
I think they were kind of like doing us like we were too.
I think they went to look at stuff, and they came back.
Any doll person that came to the booth over those 3 days, if you wanted to kind of hang out on that corner and put your dolls on the table, they had these little backstage passes. So
Danny was allowing people who had smart dolls, if they wanted to show off their doll. He had his maid table in the front where he was showing off his dolls. Yeah. And then the table on the side was where people could show off their dolls. Yeah. I know Shizusan had his CC.
He had CC and his Chitose, and Keith had the cyber bike.
Yes, yeah.
So, and his dolls, and I'm not sure which ones belong to John and Sandy.
I don't know either.
But yeah, and it would kind of change throughout the day too, because people would show up, and we were all kind of like in and out and around.
Yeah. Well, after we said our hellos to everybody, I made an excuse. And when I came back, you were talking to...
Mara and Liz Marie,
yes.
2 other smart doll owners that we have kind of interacted with online, so it was kind of fun to meet more people in person.
And then you disappeared for 6 or 7 hours.
Well, we went for a walk. Thank you for Mara for walking with me. It was very sweet. And we hit the artist alley. So that's where I got some pins from one of my favorite artists, Yukio Heroes. Shout out to them. And saw some new artists. I really like the artist alley, especially for the artists that do like their own original characters and their own original stuff, and get to see some art, you know. And then we kind of got lost trying to find our way back, but eventually we did get back.
I don't know whether we got a map and ignored it the whole time we were there, or whether we never got it, but I think we assumed, we've been to a number of indoor flea markets.
Well, we're fine.
This is set up just like that. No.
Yeah. And Sunday was the short day.
Yeah, they were shutting everything down at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, so between 3 and 4, we were kind of hanging out in the booth, trying to stay out of everybody's way. And we got to meet our friend from EDW, from Elite Doll World.
Yes.
That was funny because she and I had been chatting back and forth, and she squealed, I squealed.
Yeah.
Apologies to everybody else in the area.
Yeah.
But that was
almost recovered my hearing now. Because there was squealing, there was yelling, there were tears. One of the things that happened after we decided to go to Anime NYC was we were extremely surprised by a certain message that came through informing us that not only had Danny done a second round of his creators initiative, but we were one of the 6 that were selected. There were, I think it was 6.
Yes, it was 6, and I actually made sure I wanted to make sure I get everybody right. Squishdellia, Puppy 52, All My Plastic Children, Baker 3.6, and MagicalGirlKitCat.
So
that was very
humbling.
Yeah, and I got kind of emotional. We want to thank everybody because Danny said that this was a thing that the community told Danny who their favorites were and who they felt was worthy of being part of that list.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with the program, Danny doesn't actually pick them. Yeah. He has set up a thing where you can submit somebody using a Google Doc or vote for somebody.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to vote. I never did that.
Yeah.
But the reason this is so humbling is because it was you guys.
Yeah.
You guys were the ones that submitted us and voted for us, and thank you, honestly, from the bottom of their plastic hearts.
So one of the things with his creative initiative was he said that that he was offering a doll to help us with our creative endeavors.
Yes.
And that's how he worded it, and that's fantastic. And congrats to everybody. I can't wait to see what they picked. Danny asked me what doll I was interested in, and he asked me specifically, "You're interested in a pair?" And I was just like, absolutely, if that's a choice.
Yes.
But you know, I was very much of this was unexpected, and this is kind of a gift from him. So it was pretty much, Danny, you choose.
The really cool part about the whole thing was that since he knew we were going to be there, because we had mentioned it on Lady Disdain's channel when he was on there, so he knew we were coming, and he asked, "Is it okay if I just hand it to you at the convention?" Which was really cool because, you know, to win an award and have the guy who created the award give you the thing associated with the award in person.
Yeah.
So that was really, really cool. Very grateful for that too.
Yeah. And he didn't just hand over and say, "Okay, here's your doll." But thank you to him, because he did take the time to show me some of the pair dolls' kind of differences to the classics and particulars.
You know what you could do?
She's
You could actually show them what you're talking about.
Bring her over. Bring her over.
I am going to let you do this.
Okay.
Because I kind of stayed out of it. So, without any further ado, Anna is going to present the newest member of our Smart Doll family and introduce her to you.
Okay. So, I know you guys have been staring at the corner of the screen. And yes, here she is, and I'm going to try not to cover. She was actually on the display in the booth. She was the one holding the cell phone.
Yes.
And Danny named her Live and Let Live in Coco. And he said this is probably not the wig that she'll be released with. Right. It's one of his prototype wigs that had the little thing, which I'm perfectly fine with. We have the twist out wig, so I'm familiar with how to take care of mohair wigs.
Right.
As everybody else knows, the dolls get nicknames. And I also have another doll, a character that I've been working with, and her name is Baltimore. So there's a precedent here. So I would like to introduce you guys to Brooklyn, because we got her in New York, and Midtown seemed kind of a strange name for a doll, but I like Brooklyn. Because she was a display doll, I have her stand. She is a early production model, is what he said. So she is, as the dolls will come when they do get released. And I'm excited, as a Pear person, to design some things for her. So yes, if you guys want to know, I've already been working the minute I got her home, because her clothes were prototypes, so he had to take the clothes back with him to Japan so they can make more for everybody. So I kind of made her an outfit so she's not cold this winter.
Danny wanted people to be able to use the dolls that they were presented with to create. So Anna has already started doing the creating using the Pear body. And
patterns and her own jewelry that is more scale for a Pear. And my daughter-in-law Hillary actually has a plus-size boutique, The Quirky Closet. I'll give her a plug. She is lovely, and she'll kind of be like a consultant for me.
Well, one of the things with Hillary that has impressed both of us is she has an absolutely fantastic sense of style.
So one of the big things that Hillary always tells people who come into her shop and ask for styling help or kind of a starting point, she says, you dress for your shape, not your size. And that's kind of one of the key things that I had in mind when Danny started first talking about Pear and representation for more inclusive dolls and different body shapes. One of the things that Danny did do while we were there is he tried to show me some of her unique ways, how she differs from the classic style as far as movement and posing in that.
Yeah, she does have some quirks because the frame is the same.
Yeah, the frame is that evolve frame.
So with the different shape of the vinyl around it, there are a few quirks that he spent quite a bit of time one-on-one with you, showing you what those were. Yes. And so you guys can be prepared when she does get released for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of step out of the way. We're going to get the other camera going up here so Anna can do from Danny to Anna to you.
Yeah.
So we'll be right back.
We're back. And I did go ahead and reset Brooklyn back to her undergarments. And I also went and grabbed Okami. She is the Gen 2 body in Cinnamon. I picked her because I know a lot of you guys don't have, not everybody has an evolve in what Danny's calling the classic body. And I had gotten some questions when people saw that I had the doll from Anime NYC last weekend, And I know I had some questions, so I kind of wanted to maybe share with you guys some of the things that I noticed about the dolls, and kind of show you guys a side-by-side comparison of the two dolls. So, because I know Danny hasn't really done that, and if you weren't able to go to Anime NYC and see the classic and the Pear side by side, so I tried to make sure that their feet are level. I know somebody asked if Pear was shorter than traditional Smart Doll, and no, she's not. The Evolve frame is a little bit shorter on the ankle end because of the way that the feet go in. So regular Evolve is the same height as the Pear body, the classic versus the Pear body, which meant that they're actually about a ½ inch shorter or 1 centimeter shorter than the Gen 1 and Gen 2 dolls. She does come with the orange skull cap. I know he has said this before, that they're moving to this versus the skin colored caps, just for, you know, ease of production and everything. Yes, I put the earring kit in her head. That went just like it did with the other dolls with the eye cradle. It wasn't any harder. Actually, it might have been a little easier because I think the head is shaped more like Chitose and Monday. It's a little wider than the anime or some of the other semi-real. And I'm going to try to bring her closer to the camera, see if it'll focus. But Live and Let Live actually has freckles, and her makeup is very subtle. It's just like a little bit of gray in the eyeshadow, and then that blushing goes right across the nose with the freckles, which I thought was so cute. And Danny did check. The Pear has a bust that is specific to the Pear. So you won't be able to swap out busts between classic and Pear, because he made the shoulders different, and he also made the neck. If you can see, her neck is wider to fit more with her head. I'm going to turn them so you can see the jaw lines. And that was one of the things, is he wanted to make sure that you hold the neck and pinch, and you'll be able to feel that Evolve frame in there when you want to put the head on and off, because you need to make sure you get it all the way down so it closes that gap at the back of the neck. And she is the default bust or small bust for Pear. Danny did mention that because of the vinyl pieces having more air inside than the regular Evolve, that moving her, putting her arms back in and out to swap out busts or her shins, it's a little bit different. He says you want to make sure that you kind of press and twist. And there we go. So if you can see, it kind of squished a little bit. And that to put it back in, I'm going to turn this so you can see. See, there's a much larger area here. You have to kind of hold it and push it until you feel it. You might have to use a little bit more force. Kind of like when you're changing out the arms in the males. You have to kind of hold that bigger bicep and tricep up here and kind of push it in. But you want to make sure that you feel it click all the way in. Now, I did notice, he says, because of the arms, like I said, that air gap, he says sometimes the elbow might come down and not go right back in because there's a bit of a gap. So he says what you do is you just take it and push it at the end of the bottom of the joint. And I did notice this, and I can't remember if he specifically said, but when he was moving the Pear doll, he was using the joints. He was moving the joints themselves rather than, like sometimes with the regular dolls, we just kind of grab the hand and pull the arm down, or we grab the forearm. So he was making sure that you hit that area where the shell meets the frame. And he said one of the things, turn your head so we don't get your face up. The legs, the shin inside is actually held between the thigh and the foot. And it's the reverse of the original generation. The Gen 1 and the Gen 2 bodies, the foot is on a peg that fits in a tube of the frame. This is the reverse. It's actually, let's see if I can get this out. You have to wiggle, he said. No, I'm not scared. There we go. It's actually a tube that fits on the peg of the frame. And he said the foot's actually holding the shin on, and I don't want to pull it off. He says normally what he does is he warms it up with like a hairdryer or a heating pad or that, but that sometimes the shin piece can come down when you've bent the leg back to have her sit. So you take the foot off, you push that piece back up into that knee area in the back, and that's how you can reset that joint. Let's see if I can do this. This is also why the heeled feet from the earlier dolls is not compatible with the Evolve frame. Bear with me here. I'm gonna... Okay. He's not kidding. So you have to kind of press and wiggle with the heel till it goes all the way down. Now when I pulled her leg up, she has, excuse me my dear, I'm gonna try not to expose you too much. She has almost like a ball joint shape right here. So there's a little divot, and her hip gap comes up a little higher. And that's so that you can fit that hip in there so she can sit. And she actually does really good. Like the Evolve frame, she actually sits up better and straighter than the G1 and G2. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys with her sitting up. Okay, now he says if you've had her sitting and you want her to stand, he says sometimes her leg will come forward. So kind of like with some of the ball jointed dolls, you got that peanut has to kind of come forward a little bit for her to stand. Otherwise her butt's kind of severe sway back. Now he did mention this, because they are using the same stands, she does have this little divot back here. It's not seen when she's dressed, it's not seen when you're taking photographs, but that is so that you can put the stand in and it'll still come almost straight down if you need it to. So you've got that full range of motion for the stand. Okay. And I really think that was about it for anything that was very specific. Like I said, you might have to rotate the hip after she's been sitting so that she can stand straight. Moving the joints at the joint rather than grabbing the vinyl. So, and that way you guys can kind of see what she looks like. Kind of see her. So, and she is very well balanced. So her stand is actually not touching the table. It's just like the scantest amount above. So yeah, that's pretty impressive. So just like the other girls, she can stand without any kind of stand or support. She can balance on her feet. So, and her feet and her hands are the same, so she can use the classic girl hands. The feet are the same size as the classic, so that she can wear the shoes that you already have. The wig was standard size. I know that he has actually used this wig on the classic dolls. Anything else may have to be adjusted for her because she is wider in the shoulders. And her upper arms and her thighs are also thicker as well. So she's not just larger in one spot, she is balanced, and her proportions are balanced for the rest. So if you guys have any other questions, please put them down in the comments and I will try to answer them as much as I can. Like I said, he did tell me that this is a production model. It's not a prototype. So she should be the same dimensions as the dolls that get released when he does release them. There may be some changes. I know he said that the wig would be different. He didn't say anything about eyes or anything else like that.
Now that Brooklyn is dressed, I can come back in the room. I felt like a main character in an anime walking in. They're in their underwear, and I got one of those bathing buckets hit me right in the face. Anyway, that's about all we have. We do want to say we had a great time at Anime NYC. It was fantastic seeing our old friends, Shizusan, John and Sandy, seeing old but never met in person friends.
Yeah.
Like EDW and
Mara, Liz Marie. There's a bunch. I did make sure that I tried to put pictures. Keith and I-Chan.
I don't remember.
We had a fun conversation about 3D printing. Nerded out.
Yeah. I wouldn't hesitate to do this again. I know that Danny mentioned that he was going to be trying to see if he could arrange for some more visits at other events in the future, but didn't give us any indication as to what they might be or when.
He did ask us about some of the doll events that we had attended, and we tried to give him honest impressions and honest experiences. What we had.
But only about the ones that we've actually personally experienced. We didn't want to give him any hearsay stuff. So, Anime NYC on its own was fun, except for one thing.
The long line for ramen?
No. Actually, the fact that a bowl of ramen was about $27.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was one thing I mentioned in the beginning of the video, and I am going to do an absolutely shameless plug, because I've met a bunch of the doll people at different conventions, and I know that they know somebody or they are a person that actually has other interests outside of dolls, that many of them coincide with my interests.
Yeah.
I had gone to Anime NYC with the primary purpose of meeting Danny and seeing our old friends, and I also wanted to look for some old retro video games. And I was able to find a grail of mine. This is an Atari Lynx. I have only seen 2 of these in my life, and I bought the second one. And my shameless plug here is that I have started another YouTube channel where I talk about all of the stuff that I have been hoarding for the past life. And if you know somebody that is into Lego or old video games or old computers or anything else that's nerdy, please direct them to my other channel, ScruffyLookingNerdHoarder.
And we will put a link because,
we will put a link down there, because I was just told today that trying to find that on YouTube is extremely difficult, because you get Empire Strikes Back clips and people who collect Nerf guns. So. But that's about all we have today. We were really, really excited about seeing these pairs in person.
Yeah.
Because as most of you know, you can see the pictures, you can see the videos, and none of them ever do justice to what you can see in person.
Especially with Brooklyn and with Aggie. The freckles on the Coco. They never show up far away pictures. You really have to see them in person to see the freckles, and the freckles just get me every time.
So, to wrap this up, hope you guys enjoyed meeting Brooklyn. And we hope that the next time there is an event where everybody's going to be there, Geekdom, like Geekdom Con, please try to attend, because we absolutely love meeting everybody that comes by. Every time there is a meet, it is a chance to make a new friend, and that's another thing that we would love to hoard.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to everybody who put our name in front of Danny for the Creators Initiative. This is a fantastic blessing. Thank you for Danny for doing that. Thank you for being gracious enough to sign my kit, and
for allowing us to hang out in your booth for the better part of the day.
Yeah. And we'll see you guys next time.
And we hope to see you in person sometime soon.
Yeah.